Okay, my friends, here it is. The video that is going to save you a lot of heartache and headache and failure and having to start over and all of that. Because in this video, I'm going to explain to you briefly what the number one mistake is when it comes to seed starting, because that time is approaching. So first we have to understand, what does a plant need to start to grow? A plant essentially needs 5 things. It needs light, water, air, nutrients, and it all has to happen at the right temperature. Now we'll explore these 5 things in much greater depth in future videos when I do seed starting videos. But for now, you just have to understand they need these 5 things. And these 5 things are like an equation that if you don't have enough light, it doesn't matter how much of the other ones you're going to have. It's not going to grow properly. If you don't have enough air, then it doesn't matter how much of the other ones you have, it's not going to grow properly. If it's not happening at the right temperature, doesn't matter how much of the other ones you have, it's not going to grow properly. So they need these 5 things, and your job is to provide these 5 things. Because when a plant grows, it wants to grow like this. So here is a graph that I have made using my hand software. This is time and this is growth. Now, the plant wants to sprout and then have everything that it needs its entire life so that it can grow like this. It wants to have all the air, the nutrients, the water, all of that stuff. It wants to have it there as it needs it so that it can grow like this in a perfect trajectory like that. And that's how it will be the strongest and healthiest. Now, what it doesn't want is for it to sprout up and then, it doesn't have enough light, so it just sits there for a while, and then maybe it gets a little bit more water or enough light, and then, it just sits there for a while, and then, and for weeks and weeks, people are nursing along these sickly little plants that is going to, without any doubt, be a sickly parent plant, a sickly adult plant. And so over the years, over thousands of plants, observations and experimentations, I have come to find this, that starting a seed too early is the number one mistake. And you do not gain anything, because the ideal is to have the plant spend as little time as possible indoors under the artificial conditions. So we are starting plants indoors just to give them a head start so that we can establish and they get healthy and they get sprouted and they develop enough true plant mass so that they won't just immediately get devoured by the springtime slugs and all of that, okay? But we're not actually trying to grow them up indoors. We're just trying to give them a good start. And look, guys, I know you're super excited to get the season started. You want to start the seeds because it's all exciting and stuff. I get it. But guess what? You're not gaining anything. In fact, you're going to hurt yourself in the long run, because the more time that the plant spends indoors, the harder time it has adjusting to the outdoors. So you want just a young adolescent plant, because when they're younger, they can adapt. But when they get older and they're established, it's very difficult for them to adapt. And so they will spend weeks just trying to compensate for all of that. And they never fully will recover. And gardeners, bless their hearts, of course, they're overzealous. They want to get started right now. Well, they want to, I'm starting seeds. I have people telling me, and they're in zone, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I have people talking to me about, I feel like I'm late to the game already. I got to start seeds, or these are the seeds that I've started. What do you think? And I'm like, guys, we are in January, mid-January. I understand that you think you want to get a jump on it, but you are not gaining anything by starting earlier. If anything, it's better to err on the side of starting too late as opposed to starting too early. Because once a plant, once this even trajectory right here gets interrupted and it goes like that for a while and then goes like that, then it's never going to fully recover, and you will not have as big and healthy and vigorous of a plant as you would if you had just waited until all the conditions were right, till you had the proper setup, which you'll see in the future video coming, and then you started it and it spent as brief of time as reasonable as possible in the indoor artificial environment before moving it outside, okay? So here's a basic rule, okay? Take your last frost date, go back 8 weeks, and any of your cold sensitive stuff, the warm loving stuff like the tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, things like that will die if there's a frost, you start no sooner than 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks before they're going to be set outside, which would be about a week after their last frost date, okay? When everything's nice and warm. Now, take your last frost date and go back 12 weeks for the cold hardy stuff, because you can plant the cold hardy stuff about 4 weeks before your last frost date. That's going to be your onions, your collard greens, any of the brassicas, the cabbages, the spinach, all of that stuff, the green onions, all that stuff can take a light frost, no problem. So we will start that no sooner than 12 weeks, but that's even pushing it, more like 10 weeks before the last frost date, because we will plant it out about 3 to 4 weeks before the last frost, okay? So, but beyond that, you're not starting anything other than ginger, which you will see soon, and onions, which you will see soon. Both we'll have videos coming for both these things. But for the most part, you want to wait until that time frame. The best possible use of your time right now as a gardener is to get your seed starting setup right. You want to get all those 5 elements that we talked about, all of them, you want them to be in harmony, and you want them to be able to, so that whenever the plant needs something, it has it, and it can grow in a nice trajectory until it gets hardened off and then goes outside. And so probably next week, I will be showing you guys the ideal seed starting setup, and you will have plenty of time to set it up. So don't worry about starting seeds right now. If you're in zones 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 even. If you're beyond that, then the timings are different, but still, don't start them too early, okay? All right, guys, so if you feel like you gained something from the video, give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone who is overzealous and starting their seeds too soon, so they're gonna have all kinds of problems. And the JWA, the JDOM Wedding Agent, that video is coming this Thursday. So that long-awaited video, so that you can make it in plenty of time for the upcoming gardening season, which is fast approaching, my friends.